Hello, everybody. My name is Trollmaker, and it is that time again. Actually, I've never done this before. Actually, kind of. It's time for my year predictions for next year. I give them throughout time. I don't do them all at once because I only figure things out over time. I don't figure them all out at once. I want to give you all the great news right away. Last year, I aptly predicted that 2013 would be a great year for RTS games. It was absolutely a great year for RTS games. I also predicted a growth in PC games, which absolutely happened. PC games outsold both consoles, all three of them, I believe, and it actually sold apps on iPhone as well. I don't think it quite beat Android, which is, I think, the dominant system, but it did beat all the other gaming platforms, so it did very, very well. And so, because I was right last year, that gives me great credence to predict again. And of course, I'm not going to reflect on things where I was wrong because I didn't do them, thankfully. This year, my biggest prediction will be on browser-based games. Now, the game in the background is in fact Blood and Jade. It's a brand new browser-based game, currently in beta. It's from R Cubed, I think it's called. They make some really crappy games, and I'm going to go ahead and make the big prediction that, in fact, browser-based games will suck. Not only that, they will just do horribly. You'll see companies going bankrupt, studios closing down, and it will be pretty bad. It will be the browser-based game Armageddon. This refers to almost entirely the free-to-play trend in browser-based games early on, and this is, between 2 and 10 years ago, you saw a lot of growth. Like Farmville was absolutely huge. They didn't actually make money off that game, unfortunately. Zynga didn't monetize it until much, much later, and that's after the drop-off. And there was also Civilization Worlds, which was pretty big, and Battlestar Galactica, of course. Huge, huge game. Great game, too. Runs on the Unity engine, runs on browsers. And there's a few reasons why I think that browser-based games will go away, why I think you'll see a lot of closures of browser-based game studios, and why people will start divesting in that. So first and foremost is the Unity engine, is the number of browser-based engines like RPG Maker that are available to make these. It's very, very easy to make one of these games. It's very easy to place it, product out, and get players because it's free. But it's not easy to get to that next step, which is get them to spend money. And highly addictive games like Farmville were very, very successful in getting you to sell out your friends so that it could become more popular. And games like Battlestar Galactica are very good at selling aesthetics and extra game points and whatnot. And a lot of these other ones were able to pay to convenience to let you to do more stuff. Like Anno Online, which of course was released this year as well. But that's more or less going away. They're starting to realize like this is very much nickels and dimes. Zynga is your core example. Zynga went public in 2011, and their opening share price was like $9 or $10, and then it zoomed up to like $14 to $16 within a few months, and now it's down to less than $4. Like, it is tanking hardcore, and probably will continue to. The market that Zynga works on, which is entirely browser based, is dying, and they're not able to create a really big hit. They've actually forced themselves into investing in online gambling, with a browser-based online gambling, which is crazy. It actually saw a lot of people leave Zynga out of a protest for morality. That's a big, big deal. So I think Zynga and similar corporations will move away from browser-based games and move into browser-based lotteries, potentially, which is very, very damaging. But that's where the money is. Others will just completely pull out because Zynga it's their own company. They have nothing to lose. They don't have another brand. They can't just close down that studio and go to the next brand. They're one entity. Other ones like Electronic Arts, Firaxis Games, Ubisoft, they all have browser-based divisions. Ubisoft makes Anno Online and the Settlers Online. They will probably close down that studio or retask it to make computer games again because it was a studio that made computer games. EA has already closed down Phoenix, which made Command and Conquer Tiberian Alliances, which is this really crappy browser-based game that they released and people were upset about. They closed that down. They're done with the Command and Conquer brand, and they're done with browser-based games pretty much. And Firaxis Games closed down Civilization World this year, and they won't be making any new browser-based games. Instead, they will be focusing on the next Civilization 6 game instead, because they weren't making money. There's no money to be made there. Browser-based games won't completely die off. That's a part of this prediction. There is still a market for it. It is still quite large. The problem is that it's all nickels and dimes right now, and until a lot of smaller players get pushed out, bigger players will not be able to emerge. If you type in browser-based games on Google, browser-based games. Oh, my Hola thing popped up. Second here. Hola, of course, on Block's American or Canadian ISP, and the first thing I get is this website called MMO Bomb, and I look here, and they have 30 on their front page, and then they have 8 threads, and these are just older games. So this is 270 browser-based games that are free to play. These guys are your power players in the free-to-play market, like Urban Rivals and War of Legends and War of Titans, and Wartune is very, very big. And Oh My God, and all, like these ones are all huge games, and I don't see all. I see some of them closing down. I do. I see a lot of servers just shutting down. Not necessarily complete bankruptcy from some of these companies, but definitely remodeling a lot of their companies. I see a lot more people going for Xbox Live Arcade and PSN Network stuff. That is being very hotly promoted, especially because Xbox has their own dev kit being delivered with the Xbox. That's crazy. So that will become a brand new platform. That platform might not succeed, but this one currently doesn't. So just because all the big guys are divesting, that's one big sign that browser-based games are going nowhere. Stock price of Zynga being very low. That's a big, big, big deal. And finally, the third one is that availability of better and easier to use software that hits more people will also kill these games. Now, a lot of people will start moving into the apps, which of course is another one of these penny pincher ones that doesn't necessarily do so hot. And others will try and move on to the Steam platform. And in fact, let me check this real quick. Pretty sure this is true. Some already have. This one's called Hero of the Kingdom. It is in fact a Facebook game, and it is now on Steam. That will be the trend. That's where it's going. And that's my major, major prediction for 2014. Browser-based games will die. Now, is that a good or a bad thing? Good for some, bad for others. I mean, the market will still be there. The reason why browser-based games became popular in the first place was because they're easy to make, and there are no real computer requirements for these. It's really weird to find someone who can't run a browser-based game. And so it hit a lot of people. Specifically, Latin America has huge poverty zones, as does China. Bad, bad, bad. They love their free-to-play games, though. Other parts of Southeast Asia, Russia is really big on these free-to-play browser-based games. And it's not about just poverty, but it's poverty and lack of access to a decent computer that drives people. And so you could play a browser-based game on your handheld, but as apps begin to fill that void, which they have mostly done, these browser-based games will become less and less important. And so that's one of my predictions for 2014. Of course, I always have many more. We'll see what I can think of that is coming, what's trending, but I can guarantee you right now, half of the browser-based games will go away. They'll break down, they'll shut down their servers, new ones might pop up, but they won't be successful. My name is Troublemaker. Thank you guys for listening.